Okay, this is my second time with this video, because last one, honestly, I really did not know what the hell to say. So, today I'm talking about Canadian metal. And I know I just really put that update video, but I'm going to talk about Canadian metal today. And I know I'm forgetting to say, this is Heavy Thrash Head of Nasty Metal Productions channel at YouTube. Okay, so Canada has definitely had a big scene like in the 70s and 80s, but me, I'm not focusing on hard rock bands or proto metal bands or metal bands of the 70s, because I don't have as much. The only thing that comes close to like heavy metal of the 70s would be Rush, and I ain't gonna show those off because I think all of you have seen them. So I'm going to show off some. I'm going by year dates. So, right when the 80s was pretty much rolling in, I think one of the most known Canadian metal bands, or some that will definitely be a name to be remembered, was Anvil. They released Hard and Heavy in 1981. Definitely a known name in Canadian metal, but next year, I think one of the other recognizable names in Canadian metal, or metal in general, was Exciter. And their first appearance was on this, Mike Varney's U.S. Metal Volume 2. I know, I had to recorrect myself. With the song, World War III. Definitely pretty good, kind of punkish in delivery. This is probably one of the best songs off here besides, the Rod's Wings of Fire. Found this one definitely in pretty good shape, I would say. Even though there's some, like, little wear on it, but other than that, good condition. Found it at Spinners Records down in Fresno, and just definitely a pretty cool compilation. But I ain't gonna talk about every band on here unless if I do a video of compilation albums that I got. Okay, so 1983, there were definitely two albums, definitely by the two that I talked about. First one that I talked about, Anvil, Forged in Fire. Probably my favorite Anvil album of that time. Just fucking heavy. And more, almost matured as well. It's like, the whole musicianship and everything, it's like they really were pushing themselves for just to do, they were pushing themselves really to kind of be like, faster, since you had like albums of the same year such as Metallica's Kill 'Em All, Slayer Show No Mercy, which is actually just more raw. It's like that, like my Venom, but with that whole sort of early thrash metal thing, and Anvil were like seen as the precursors to it. This one definitely does have a thrashy feel in general, such as songs like Motor Mount, Shadow Zone, Future Wars, Winged Assassins. Some of these were just, it was just fucking aggressive, and this is one of my favorite ones by them. I really do enjoy this. And then you got melodic numbers such as Free as the Wind. I'm not gonna say Make It Up to You. That's like one of the weakest songs off here, but it's not a bad song. I can listen to it. I like the only down point of this one, but I do enjoy listening to this from start to finish. One of my favorites. And this is a reissue on Unidisc, but it's also helped released by Attic, which was Anvil's, who they're assigned to at the time. Next one, released same year, I talked about him already, Exciter, Heavy Metal Maniac. This one, I think Anvil could have probably picked this one up. They could have even listened to them on that US Metal Comp, but this one is even much more raw, much more, even thrashier than Forged in Fire by Anvil. This is just very angry. It's more in that style of like Metallica's Kill 'Em All, but even much more fire speeding. It's that, and one of the best albums. Let's just stand up and fight. The title track, Iron Dogs, Under Attack, and then Black Witch, Cry of the... this is a classic, really. Just a fucking classic. And it's definitely does not make you wonder for why this is seen as a classic, because of in its own right is a classic. This was originally released on Shrapnel Records, but kind of the last one on the Shrapnel Records, because of that, they kept playing like musical labels. They kept the next one for which I don't have, Violence and Force. That was on Megaforce, and then they went to Music for Nations, released Long Live the Loud, and then they would go back, I guess, to Megaforce to release, the one without John Ritchie or Rick, him. Still, classic album, and this lineup is back together. Alright. Still going on, 1984. This one is definitely a pretty recognizable name in metal. Definitely, even just thrash metal in general. Razor, Armed and Dangerous, made their debut in that same year of 1984. Not 83, but 84. Definitely a little different from what they would go on to do, but this is still got that classic Razor sound still. It's, Sheepdog's voice is still, pretty much there, not as... It's not nearly as, I don't want to say evil sounding, but, it's a little more angrier. Not as angrier as some, but still pretty much, there, the formula for his vocals, his band, he's just, his shrieks and everything, still pretty present on here. This is more new wave of British heavy metal, like, kind of like Raven. It's also got that Motorhead type of attitude. Definitely I would say this is probably one of my other favorite Razor albums because of EPs, whatever. I just enjoy listening to most of Razor's stuff. I can't get enough. The only one I probably didn't care for is that last one that they did in like 97 decibels. I don't care for that one. I don't. I think that album kind of sucks. This one does not. And this is probably the closest that it's ever got to like an original press. And this ain't an original press. This is actually a reissue from 2012 on the War on Music Records label. Found this brand new at Rasputin down in Fresno. And again, doesn't get any classic than that. I know. Because I've seen some other bootlegs or something that I think there was one. I think one of the VC members showed, and it wasn't quite as close to this. This is the closest it's ever gotten to an original press. I've seen pictures of the original press. This is as close to this gotten, and the sound. Oops, excuse me. The sound is definitely good, and the thick vinyl, custom labels. I guess I could show them off. I can show off that. Don't want to ruin the vinyl or something, but Again, it's as close as it's ever gotten to an original press. Now I'm going to show another one. 2 albums that were released in the same year. Now, in the first video, I kind of took the record out, but whatever. Probably the gimmick of the time, Pile Driver. Probably one of the best gimmicks still of the time. I really probably enjoyed this one much more than Metal Inquisition. I don't have Metal Inquisition, but I have this, and this is indeed not technically a repress because it was pressed in 2 different states or whatever. There was an import from Canada, which was just sold, on its own was released on Killed Cobra. When it was released in the US, it was distributed by Important, which is right there. It was helped released on Important Records, and I found that one used at Recycled Records up in Reno. I paid like $15 for it, much cheaper than what it goes for now. But I'm going to show you also the record, just for the hell of it, right there, Cobra. All right, moving on. Another one. Definitely one of the influences on the death metal scene. Slaughter with Strapato. Definitely got that sort of. I think a lot of like the later death metal bands, even like the Florida ones, definitely kind of took a lot of influence from this, and not just death, which Chuck Schuldiner was a member of at this time. He was a member of Slaughter, but kind of like, I guess, a little early 80s or mid 80s. He was a member, and there is like a bit of a song that was directed at him, which was called Fuck Up Death, because apparently, I guess, they weren't very happy that I guess he left or something. I guess I don't know the whole story about it, but I guess they weren't happy with him. But they sure, this whole album really does deliver. It's definitely got that sort of gritty sort of sound. It's more guttural as well. It makes Razor's Evil Invaders sound like almost like a glam album. And I hate to say that, but if for some reason it makes it sound like this is fucking raw, this is heavy. But this is from mostly like the remix, because I got the remix copying up the original mix. Original mix I know has been reissued by High Roller, but this is a reissue on Metal Mind. Average Metal Mind, packaging, digipack. Okay. Still going on. Going to the 2000s now because of, I don't know, I'm an idiot. Anvil, this is 13. They definitely kept going on. They never really split up. But this is probably the comeback to mainstream status. Because ever since this, they've gotten mainstream status now. It's like, I don't know, it's like it seems ever since they put that movie out, it's like they've just gotten status. And ever since that movie, this album got reissued by VH1 Classic Records, which this is that same copy. It's got a bonus track that was not featured on the original pressing, which is song. Show you the get it, fucking camera. All right, Thumb Hang. Honestly, I like this album. I do. I like Anvil. However, I didn't really care for this next one. This is from 2013. This is Hope in Hell. I didn't care for this one. I tried to. I might revisit again to do another revisiting video, but that might be a little somewhat, but I didn't care for this one. I don't know. I'm sorry. I didn't care for it. So that pretty much does it. So, I know I didn't talk about as much, obscure ones like the obscure German metal video, but hey, I showed off what I had. I wasn't going to show off some of the Rush albums I've got. Like, again, I've said it. You've all probably seen them. I don't need to repeat it. So, this ends it. This is Heavy Thrash Shed saying I'm out.